Quorum now, right? Okay. Good afternoon. We'll call this meeting to order now. And just to let you know, on roll call, Councilman Hemphill, he is excused. And we're good to go. Please, we'll stand up. The pledge will be offered by Councilman Arnold Lopez, and the invocation will be by Councilman Mike Andazola.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Creator, we thank you for this day. We ask you and we thank you for all the blessings you give us for this community. As we live in a great community and we have great employees, we have a great manager, we have a great clerk, department heads, and we ask you to please watch over each of us up here. But most of all, we ask you to please watch over our citizens and watch over us, Heavenly Creator, that we may make good decisions tonight in your name, and we pray for our military, our men in blue and women in blue, and we just give you thanks for everything that we have in this great community. We ask this through our Heavenly Creator. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Then we'll move, we don't have any comments from citizens on agenda items nor non-agenda items, so we'll move on to number 7. Number 7 is a presentation by the United Way, and that's going to be tabled until February 26th at this time. Okay, then we'll go into number 9, our work session, Keys to the City Policy. Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I come to you tonight with the proposal of the following. This is a request for the mayor and city council to hold a work session to provide guidance regarding a new key to the city policy. The mayor and city council are initially made aware of a proposal to recognize a well-known son of Safford, Justin Gaethje, with the key to the city for his significant accomplishments as a mixed martial arts fighter. Currently, the city has no standing policy regarding the key to the city ceremony. In proceeding with the events relating to the presentation of a key to Mr. Gaethje, staff determined it would be beneficial to create a policy for future recipients. The goal of the policy would be 1, provide the council with an opportunity to assess each proposed recipient. 2, to agree on criteria for the assessment. And 3, to agree on a ceremony of the recipient. The policy that was put together is pretty simple, looking at purpose as essentially presenting a key of the city to someone of esteemed residents or visitor for outstanding civic contributions to the history, economic, social, and cultural fabric of the city. A key may also serve as a recognition of other achievements deemed significant by the council, such as, but not limited to, significant military service, persons who have performed acts of heroism, and dignitaries. A key to the city is strictly honorary. The procedures would include a nomination submitted by a citizen or council member requesting a key for a nominee should include the following information. 1, the application information. 2, name of the individual or organization to be considered. 3, a brief narrative detailing the reasons for the nomination. The city council will review the application at a regular meeting and will vote to approve or disapprove the nomination. Upon approval of the award of the key to the city, a proclamation will be issued and the city may coordinate and conduct an official event commemorating the proclamation on the steps of City Hall, or it may be presented during a regular meeting of the city council. this concludes the policy that I have presented. Some of the things that we're looking at is, purposely why we came forward is, this being the first opportunity that we do recognize one of our own, it was starting to get a little bit bigger than we really anticipated. Right now, we're looking at not only this event, but also a golf tournament and a presentation of a mural in the individual's honor. With that, seeing that the city wanted to make sure we did this right, we didn't really have any foregone guidance as to what that would look like. So hence the reason I come forward to get guidance to you, from you, as well as to find out what will be that standard that we will use for future recipients, as mentioned. Key to it is understanding that this has to stand out alone, separate from, say, the Pride of Safford Award, which is looking more towards volunteerism and goodwill in the community, but definitely to hold a high standard. In researching the event, a lot is known to put emphasis on what the key actually represents. The history comes back from medieval days, where the cities were actually gated and fenced, and the city would actually give a key to those vendors and dignitaries so that they had easy access into the city when they used to close up the walls, or not to have to pay fees to enter the cities. So again, this event should stand significantly on its own, and not taken lightly, and have a strict assessment by the city council. And it really requires a lot of a policy-driven standard that would come from this committee. That's all I have for going to questions.
Mick, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In reference to this, the key to the city policy, is this gonna be a monthly thing, yearly thing, annual, or how are we gonna do this?
That would be one of the things that the council would have to come up with. Again, looking at it, that it's not something that would be regular, and it would definitely have to stand up on its own merits. And again, giving us a timeline to, one, present it to the council, give the council the opportunity to assess and approve it or disapprove it.
So will this break up another committee for the council to be a member of? Are we gonna nominate citizens to this, to get the key to the city, or?
No. Go ahead, John.
Vice Mayor Ortega, Councilman Andazola, this is not envisioned to be something that has any kind of regularized schedule to it. In fact, Key to the City should be one of those exceptions, right? So that it's an outstanding individual. So it won't happen very often, which is why we put the policy in place, because obviously we have the current event going on, and it made us realize that we didn't have anything for the vetting or anything, so we tried to keep it simple. But those who would get this would be extraordinary, right? This would be a rare occurrence. Now, you may find that maybe there's individuals that show up for some reason in succession, but the idea is not to do this on a regular basis, but it would be an extraordinary act of council to go through this process and provide that
Okay, the
ceremony.
only reason why I bring it up, because I am the chairman of the Pride of Safford and all that, and I'm just trying to get a feel for this, to see how we're gonna do this, and see if we're gonna have citizens involved.
No, this is different than that. As Mick alluded to, that's more of on a voluntary basis. This is really ceremonial, right? So that's why it's a key to the city, and that's why I brought it before council, because it's really us representing the city at an extraordinary event, and again, that they embody the kind of values that we have. So this will happen much less regularly. It would be a rare occurrence.
And it would be the citizens that nominate the person,
Citizens or the council?
or the
Mr.
council.
Mayor, yes, sir. Now, like, as I said, why we wanted to bring it forward is, this being the first time, we were really looking at, having it done in front of City Hall, but we also want to put emphasis that it can be done just if a dignitary comes into town and the council deems them worthy, that it can just be presented at either a council meeting or just at the City Hall itself. But we wanted to find the guidance from the City Council based on what this event currently is going to look at, because the expectation may lead that this is what it's going to look like from here on out, especially with the other two events that are following Mr. Gaethje's nomination.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Did you?
I just don't, I mean, I don't expect this to happen more than once a decade. I mean, we haven't needed it before now, or maybe we have had it in the past and we've lost it in history, but I don't foresee this happening often, so, if it did become something that happened on a regular basis and we searched for these people, it would become diluted and worth nothing, so I hope it doesn't happen more than once every 10 or 12 years.
Yes, sir. The, where it stands out right now, what we're looking at as far as planning, looking at an actual ceremony in front of City Hall on the steps with the council members and the mayor present with the recipient and possibly a guest speaker, a MC to carry the event through, and then essentially having a protocol approach through the City Hall to not to bring out VIP and family members and have seating just for them. Now, somebody like Justin Gaethje, of course, when the city hears about this, the community is going to come out in droves. But just like, you know, the example that I was using is when you look at the Hall of Fame for baseball, the families and the members are the ones that are in this audience, where the fans are all in the back. So we're not really catering to bring all seats to everybody, but to the selective few. And that's where I was starting to get to the point that I don't really want to get too large with this and to what scale, but then remembering that when we do have another one in 10 years, that we still meet it the same way, or, you know, at least in the same approach. We're also looking at, after the event, that it would be a reception for that VIP list that's identified through protocols, through RSVP, looking at it to be catered for just some simple hors d'oeuvres and drinks, that kind of thing, no alcohol. And then, of course, finding out what that RSVP looks like and finding the right venue to fit that. Thinking, again, that it'd probably be pretty big, because talking with his parents, they're already looking at, you know, one, very big family, two, a lot of the folks from his world with the UFC, a lot of his teammates and that type of thing, coworkers, etc. So that might make it a larger venue where we'd have to take it out to, say, the manor house, where the venue might be too small, etc. So that's where, again, we just wanted to see where you want to taper this down to, what the expectation, so I can build off of that. Again, there are 2 other events that will follow that weekend. As of right now, we're looking at May 18th from 4 to 5 for our ceremony. The golf tournament would be on the 17th, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club. And then the mural dedication would be that Saturday afternoon for 3 hours. And that's already being proposed as a special event, because, again, it will call for some road closures, and, of course, support of the city for that event. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but this is the exception because of who it is, and, of course, it being the first one. So key to this is, where do we want to take this as a policy and as a program?
Well, I think the policy is definitely necessary, and I sure appreciate, you know, you guys spearheading this and working through it. And I know there will be a few hiccups on the way, but that's how you get things going. So, all I can say is thanks a lot. Anybody else?
I just want to throw a lot of appreciation to Nick and what he's done and kind of helped me get through this. And the reason why this came about was at the conference of leagues or whatever we would go to, and I was talking on the shuttle from my hotel to the conference center. One of the city managers from Wilcox, we sat there and talked, and he said, "How come you guys haven't done anything for Justin Gaethje?" And I said, never thought of that. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You guys can bring so many people to your community, to show off your community, and maybe bring sponsors and bring, you know, dignitaries here and show them what you guys have." And so that's how this all came about. And so when I brought it back to the city manager and said, "Hey, we need to do something," Nick was the first one to step up and be like, "Hey, let's do this." And so he's been handling the committee meetings and stuff like that, and I've been grateful for him getting a hold of everybody, and I'm just along for the ride right now. So I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you. And the direction, basically, like I said, is I got a template already set up, and what I can do is put it together exactly as to what that looks like for that evening, present it to the city manager, and then it can be pass along to the city council if for any further guidance or greaten it, lessen it, whatever we might have to do.
I was gonna say, how much direction do you want? I mean, it sounds like you know what you're doing probably better than we do. I don't wanna nitpick it or mess it up. I think you're right. I think you put it together and give it back to the manager and almost just need to budget. You know, I mean,
Go ahead, John.
Vice Mayor, Councilman McGoy, I think that that's probably the way it will go. I think the way that the policy is designed is to get that policy input. So it wasn't the Gaethje event so much. I mean, even in that case, there are additional things that are going on sponsored by other organizations. So it's bigger because it's not just the city doing it, there are other organizations. So the idea was to make sure that we vet it, since it is an honorary thing that won't happen often, it's the key to the city. So the goal of the policy simply is to get the green light from council so that we can proceed with whatever activities we come up with. Obviously, you know, the idea is that the way it's presented now, it's a relatively minimal impact. So you have the presentation, you maybe have a public presentation, maybe a meet and greet after that. If we were to go beyond that, we would get direction from the council basically at that point to say, hey, this is bigger than that. We can go beyond that. But the main goal here was simply to get a green light from the council as a body to go forward.
Okay,
turn over the green light.
thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, then we'll close the work session and go into our public hearing. The public hearing will be open in compliance with Arizona Revised Statute 38.431.02 to hear public comment regarding the Fisher rezone.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is rezone for parcel 101-20020C. This is receipt of a rezone from Jerry Fisher for the Graham County parcel to be changed from agricultural residential district to the R2 multiple family residential district. There is a map of the parcel on the screen for you. The biggest part that I would like to point out in this is in your staff report on page 2 of 4, and you have the table that shows the maximum lot coverage and the lot area for these two zone changes, for these two zoning categories. So the agricultural residential requires a minimum lot area of 1 acre, which is 43,560 square feet. And the minimum lot area on the multifamily is 6,000 square feet. So whatever use they do, unless they do a planned unit development, which they are looking into but haven't decided yet, this is the biggest difference in your two zoning categories is the lot square footage per residence. And so with this located right in the middle of the city of Safford near the high school, the lower square footage and the higher density makes it available to have more houses on that parcel within walking distance of shopping and schools. So with the general plan, any zone change has to be compatible with this. And with the higher density and the walking distance, this meets the zoning category requirement for the general plan by allowing the property to be developed with denser housing in the core of the city of Safford. And the rezone will fulfill community desire on page 2.2 of the general plan by providing larger diversity of housing types for different income ranges. What we're having right now is there is a large lack of middle housing, workforce housing. We don't have anything in the middle price range. We also don't have very many rental units available for apartments or executive housing or anything of that nature. So by allowing more dense housing in this area, we can, without annexing or moving outside our city limits at this time, we can create more housing opportunity in a more affordable price range. With that, I will answer any questions that you have. And The developer is here this evening if you have questions for him, also Mr. Polson.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that has any concerns or wanna voice now's the time to speak up. Okay. I guess there's nobody.
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
When do we say, you said you'll have an opportunity to say, do tell us something. When do we have that say? When are we gonna be able to tell you that?
About the individual development. So this first step in the process just simply changes the zoning. So this will allow either single family on a 6,000 square foot lot or multifamily. Once this is approved, then the developer can move forward and look at their different options for that property. And if it's within our regulations, they'll come to you for the subdivision. They'll come to the Planning and Zoning Commission with their subdivision. And so that's the next step in the process. So this is the very first step that if this zoning is not changed, the property simply isn't financially feasible to develop on 1 acre lots currently with the price of supplies in the market.
Well, you talked about our necessity, for example, on rental housing and stuff. But nothing says that we can tell a developer what to build.
Correct. And so one thing that's happening in the state legislature currently that has me quite concerned is that the state is trying to take away local control of zoning. And our city is very proactive in working with developers and working on rezones and working with things like that to help them develop property. And by working through this process, it's really a good example to the state legislature currently about how we are succeeding with our code. We're not hampering development, we're working with them, working through the process. And so you can't say if it's rental or single-family owned housing, but you can control at this current time the lot size, the density per acre, the requirement for recreation on site. You can still control those things. And that's where the council's input becomes important when the subdivision comes up for review.
And you'll bring it to our attention when that input's required.
Yes, sir. So that will be another public hearing process. If they do the planned unit development, then it will be a concurrent process and you'll have both things coming to you. If they simply develop it as a subdivision, then that will come to you as well.
And then it says there's gonna be an impact on traffic.
Yes, sir.
And it says too, an impact study will be done if requested by the city.
Yes. And we've had our preliminary meeting and that's already been discussed that it will be needed. And Mr. Henry, is he? Yeah. So Mr. Henry will attend all those development meetings, and because it is such a major part of town, that will be looked at.
Where is the idea of where the two roads are gonna come out right now? On High School Boulevard, 14th?
Mr. Polson can answer that if he has preliminary idea of where the entrance and exit will be.
And I know it's early, but I just kinda wondering, we got the buses coming out of there, and High School Boulevard I thought was a privately owned road, so I don't know.
Yes, esteemed mayor and council members, my name is Johnny Polson. I'm with Providence Homes. We've been building houses in Arizona for 36 years. 15 of those we've built and toiled here in Safford with our Copper Canyon community. We've been working with an engineer currently and working on a preliminary site plan, seeing if what it is that we can get to fit on this site under the R2 zoning as well as an R2 PUD. Currently, our engineer has a preliminary layout with 2 access points along 14th Avenue, and then 2 points of access to the parcel to the west, the R16 zoning site, for future development and future access to it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
We've needed something in that area for quite some time. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
And this has been presented to, planning and zoning, right?
It was presented to planning and zoning.
And it was approved.
Mhm.
I thought so. Anybody else?
I don't know if this is the place to ask it, but does that zoning have any standard to parking spaces and density that way also?
The roadside.
I don't wanna pick on their last development, but
Yes, sir, and
we don't wanna do that again.
The size of those parking spaces are discussed, and so each unit requires 2 parking spaces, 2 off-street parking spaces, and the preliminary design that they brought in actually has longer parking spaces than are required. We require 18 feet, and your draft had 21 feet. So we are looking at the successes and possible improvements of Copper Canyon so that we make sure that anything new doesn't have the issue with the street and the vehicles in the street. We're also looking at some possible spaces to park things of trailers and that nature out of the area, more in the drainage area. And the units do have garages. Yes.
So this zone change, even though the zoning allows 7 times the density of the current zoning, the parking is gonna limit that then quite a bit.
Yes, sir. So the parking requirements per dwelling unit, if they're townhomes or single-family, are the same, 2 per unit.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Vice Mayor, this is Bill Sims.
Yes, yes, Bill.
You asked, your counsel and you are asking very good questions of Jamie. These are the questions you're gonna ask at the next stage at either a plat or site plan. What you're doing tonight, and Jamie framed it quite well on the top of page 8 of 330, when she compared the 2 different standards in the 2 different residential districts. What you're approving tonight is allowing the zoning that allows the greater density that you see. But the questions you're asking about drainage, traffic, parking, all that gets answered in the next stage when they come in with development and you get to review and approve. Having said that, tonight is your greatest latitude. This is a legislative act, and the courts really will back whatever you do. Once you decide to do this, then you enter into administrative acts where you apply, and staff and Jamie and John will come to you with recommendations, and you'll review and approve those in accordance with the standards.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you then, very much. Then we'll close the public hearing and reconvene into the regular council meeting. Okay, and then the first item is approving the minutes of January 22nd and January 29th. Any changes, or we'll need a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, we approve the minutes.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have motion and second to approve the minutes of January 22nd and 29th. Any more discussion, or all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Then we'll move on to an item 14. These are resolutions. Resolution number R 24-002, designating primary election date.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a resolution R 24-002 designating the primary election date, and this is a request to adopt the resolution, and the City of Safford will be designating the primary election date, the purpose of the election, voter registration deadline, and designating the date and place to file the candidate nomination form. Attached is the resolution. On Friday, however, Governor Katie Hobbs did sign a House bill that changed the date of the primary election from August 8th to July 1st. Let me make sure I'm not. Yes, from August 8th to July 1st, and so, or sorry, July 30th. So that is going to change some of the resolution dates that we have. The first section would be the designation of election, would change from Tuesday, August 6th, 2024 to Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. The section 2, the designation of deadline for the voter registration, that'll be from Monday, July 8th, 2024, moving it to Monday, July 1st, 2024. And the section 3, designating the deadline to file date and place to file the candidate nomination, it is going to be changed from Monday, April 8th, 2024 to Monday, April 1st, 2024. So those are the 3 amendments we'd be making to the resolution that's in the packet tonight. We would just I didn't change it just because there was kind of talks of maybe other dates changing. So far, the county recorder and the county elections director did not verify if any other bills were signed today. So I'm just gonna move forward with presenting this so we can have our candidate packets ready for pickup tomorrow.
Anybody have anything to say or anything? Any discussion? Go ahead.
Does it affect anything you've advertised already? Is it gonna mess anybody up?
No, luckily because she only put it down or changed it a week, we're still within the dates for that vacancy fulfillment. We still have to fill that vacancy. That didn't change anything there.
Okay.
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Vice Mayor, this is Bill Sims.
Yes, Bill?
B has worked hard, as have the clerks across the state. Late Friday, the governor signed this, which really was a time bomb that just went off, as everyone has been scurrying about trying to change the dates. What B suggested just now is the appropriate dates. Having said that, about 2 hours ago, we got an email from the league saying that they're rethinking all the dates. And we've got an email from the league saying that there may be a new bill changing the dates. I think the dates that B has suggested to you are the dates that everybody agreed to late Friday. I think by changing them now so that the public knows that it is wise, but then if indeed the league changes, and the counties are the ones who run the election, we can redo the resolution. The only issue that you need to worry about, that everyone was worried about on Friday, is if you've had any petitioners pick up petitions and dated them with an August 6th date, they will be okay if they already had signatures before Friday. And so what B needs to do and the elections department needs to do is be willing to accept those because they were signed in good faith based on the earlier date. But I do think there will be a number of other emails later this week, but B has done a great job giving you these dates. She's the one who reached out to the Graham County to try to, I sent her what Yavapai County had done, which was really quite good. And I think these are good dates, but hold on, they might be changed next week.
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Is there anything else on that? This is an
Vice
action
Mayor.
item.
I just had a question for Bill. So if the dates change, so if we pass this evening based on the law as currently passed, and they change the date again, do we have to come back with another version of the same material and pass it another time?
Who knows? Because, I mean, that was the problem. When they passed this on Friday, they didn't think through the ramifications of all the petitions that were already executed. And they didn't think through what happened if you signed it on Friday. Because the bill is unclear. Well, I think I'm warning you, we may have to come back, but currently these are the best dates to go with, and we should go with them. So that B can hand out her, if they do change, John, they're gonna have to acknowledge that if people took packets and went and got signatures, those have to be grandfathered. We can't keep changing this on them.
Bill, this is Steve McGoy. Can we formulate the motion to say that we were passing it with the contingency that it may have to change and then be covered that way?
You know what, I like that. If you don't mind giving the manager, the clerk, and the city attorney the power to make changes consistent with direction we're getting from the league and from Graham County. If you're willing to do that and trust John, B, and me, I think that's a great suggestion, so we don't have to come back.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir, that's a motion.
Okay, want to say it again?
I move that we approve resolution R-24-002 designating primary election date as outlined currently, with the stipulation that if the state changes the rules, we will change with them.
So I'll need a motion to accept the amendment, and then we'll vote on the amended resolution.
Okay.
That's an amendment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept, to make the,
To amend the
to
motion.
amend the motion. All in favor? Opposed?
Now a motion
Now to
To
approve the amendment.
to approve the
Motion
as
to
amended.
adopt as amended.
To approve the motion as adopted. All in favor? Aye.
Who's making the motion?
I-
You're gonna motion again to accept the?
I will, yeah.
And it was seconded by
Second.
Arnold. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll read
Vic.
it into the minutes. Approval of Resolution R 24-002 with the amendments of the dates and also giving authority to the city clerk, city manager, and city attorney in the event of any changes to the dates in the future. A resolution of the mayor and city council, city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, designating the primary election date, purpose of election, designating deadline for voter registration, designating place and deadline for candidates to file the nomination papers.
Thank you, Vic. Then we'll move on to item number 2, Resolution R 24-003. That's the designation of the chief fiscal officer for fiscal year 2024. Troy?
Good morning, Mayor and council members. This is my first resolution in front of you as the finance director for the city of Safford. I am requesting approval for it's an administrative type resolution. It's required by state statute that you have somebody designated as a fiscal officer for the city of Safford for submitting the expenditure limitation report. So I am submitting to you that resolution so that I can become that person for you and fill out the report for 2024 and 2023. So.
Anybody have any comments or anything?
I make the motion, we approve resolution R 24-003.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution R 24-003. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank you.
Then thank you.
I'll read it into the minutes. Approval of Resolution R 24-003, a resolution of the City of Safford, Arizona, Mayor and Common Council designating the Chief Fiscal Officer for officially submitting the fiscal year 2024 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General.
Thank you, B. Then we'll move on to resolution number R 24-006, the reinstatement policy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and Council to adopt Resolution R 24-006, a resolution adopting a reinstatement policy to be added to the HR Personnel Manual. The city's current personnel manual does not have a reinstatement policy that clarifies how an employee's longevity and other benefits affected by years of service are reinstated if the employee resigns and is then rehired. The proposed reinstatement policy explains that if an employee resigns and has separated in good standing with the city, the employee is eligible for reinstatement within 9 months from date of separation. In this policy, reinstatement pertains to vacation leave accrual rates, sick leave accrual rates, longevity recognition pay, and longevity coins. The recommendation is to adopt Resolution R 24-006, which adds a reinstatement policy to the HR Personnel Manual. To clarify, if an employee is reinstated, benefits affected by years of service shall be reinstated, provided the separation was within 9 months or less, and that at the time of separation, the employee was in good standing with the city. With that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions?
What, you just decided we needed this in because we didn't have it?
We had a situation where it came up with an employee that had left, come back, and then was leaving again, and it was unclear how to process his benefits. And then when I went and looked at policies, the only benefit that was mentioned in policy as far as this is concerned is the sick leave accrual rates. And so I want to add the other benefits that are affected by longevity, so it's clear what we do in this situation.
So right now, if they left and came back, they'd have to start brand new.
Yes,
And so you
It's-
want to make way so they don't have to.
correct. As long as, they come back within 9 months and they left in good standing.
And what if they bought back some of what they had?
So the
Yeah.
only benefit that you can buy out right now is the vacation leave. So if somebody comes back, they're not getting their vacation hours reinstated because they would have left with those monies. They're just getting the accrual rate reinstated. So your vacation leave accrual rates change based on 5, 10, 15 years. So say an employee was with us for 10 years, they left for a few months and came back, they'd get that higher accrual rate.
They get what they had when they left.
Yeah,
Nothing built up. They don't-
correct.
They don't get to come back and claim anything, just come back with what they had.
Yeah, with the same accrual rate, but like I said, they would have left cashing out their vacation leave, so they don't get hours in their bank. They just start accruing at the rate that they had when they left.
And this is a benefit to us.
It's a benefit to us in the fact that we would know how to handle these situations in a consistent manner when employees are leaving and coming back. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So it's helpful to the employees that, like I said, have been with us for a long time and, you know, say they leave, they go try something else, and they'd like to come back, that they're not deemed for that.
And 9 months is kind of strange, but I think there's a method to your madness, so it's good. Thank you.
So where the 9 months came from is we do recognize 9 months for our sick leave accrual rates right now. And so I'm just bringing that in and being consistent with the other benefits.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? If not, it's an action item.
Move we approve resolution 24006, reinstatement policy.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 24-006, the reinstatement policy. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Resolution number R 24-006, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, adopting a reinstatement policy in order to establish longevity practices for rehired city employees.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to item number 15, the ordinances. Number 1, the ordinance 024-001. It's the Fisher rezone.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff is requesting a first reading of ordinance O24-001, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, rezoning Graham County Assessor's Parcel 101-20020C from agricultural residential to multiple family residential district. With that, I will stand for questions.
Vice Mayor, is this an action item?
Yes, it is.
Jamie? In reference to what Attorney Sims said, now is the time to do a few things. What do you foresee being some of those things that ought to be addressed?
So the issue at hand tonight is simply the density of residential use allowed on the property. So what I would start doing if I were you and start thinking about is when either a subdivision or if a planned unit development does come to you, I would start jotting down the things that you make sure you want to review at that time. Tonight is simply, do you want to allow the decrease in the lot size from 1 acre, which is 43,560 square feet, to the 6,000? And so that's your main concern tonight. Is this an area of town that you're okay with that happening in? Do you feel it's better served as a more dense housing area, or would you like to see the 1 acre lot size retained there? And then in the future, as the process goes on, you'll think about parking, you'll think about access, and staff will bring all of those issues to you. We will fully vet them, we'll have development meetings, and then that's the time to work on those issues. So tonight is simply, would you like the larger 1 acre single family development there as it's currently zoned, or in your future of how the city develops with our need of more housing, would you be happier with the higher density, more houses per acre?
And there's no minimum home size, just a minimum lot size.
Correct. The building code and I believe the new 2024 code will have some tiny home things, but currently you just need to meet the setbacks within the lot size. So what you're looking at today is not home size, it is simply lot size.
So we're simply going from 1 home per acre to 7 homes per acre
Yes,
possibility.
correct. And you are looking at allowing multifamily, which could be apartment buildings there, which would be a large-scale development, which would go through full review process. So the big question you're looking at tonight is, do you want to see one single-family home on an acre there, or would you like more dense development, walkable close to schools and shopping in the center of your city? So the general plan gives pretty clear direction about that. So really, it's a great place for it because the larger lots tend to be more expensive homes. They're generally $400,000 or $500,000 homes in this current market, where if you did apartments or smaller homes on the 6,000 square foot lot, they would be more affordable. You're looking at the scale of your development.
Anybody else? If not, this is an action item.
So if we vote yes on this now, we're saying more density.
Essentially, yes, Councilman Lopez and Mayor Ortega, you are. You are going from a 43,000 square foot lot with 1 home on it to possibly an apartment building or a 6,000 square foot lot. Or townhomes or duplexes or triplexes. You are changing the density on the property.
Which I think in the beginning you said maybe the 10-year plan is something that has that in there.
Yes, sir.
Is what we're looking for.
Yes,
Especially
sir.
that close to the school, close to shopping, close to everything.
Yes, sir. Mayor Ortega, Councilman Lopez, so it's quoted in the general plan, section 2.2, which called for the city of Safford to provide a larger diversity of housing types for different income ranges. So if all you have are a city full of large 1 acre lots with $500,000 homes, you're displacing a lot of your workforce and other population. The housing is just not feasible for them.
Thank you, Mayor.
Jamie, can you just give us the cliff notes on the difference between the zoning they're asking for and the R16 that's next door to it, that it may all funnel through?
Yes, sir. Councilman McGoy and Mayor Ortega, the biggest thing I think you will notice is on page 2 of your staff report, where the minimum lot width on agricultural residential is 145 feet, and the minimum lot width on the R6 is the same as it is with the R2. So even the lot sizes in the R16 are the same as the R12. So what you're changing between this and the one that's adjacent is simply allowing the apartment homes and things of that nature. The lot size requirements are the same.
Thank you.
And the height requirements, those standards are the same for the R16 and the multifamily. The big change is from the agricultural residential. That's the most rural compatible form of housing zoning that we have, and that change to these categories is your big step. The other two are very similar.
Anybody else? Okay, then. And we need a motion to approve or deny?
I move that we approve ordinance 024001, the Fisher rezone.
It's only for the approval of the first read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor? That is the first reading.
That's all we're approving. Yeah, she'll bring it back at the next council meeting for full approval of the ordinance.
Do you read it?
This concludes the first reading of ordinance number 024-001, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, effectuating a map amendment rezoning Graham County Assessor's parcel number 101-20-020C from City of Safford AR Agricultural Residential District to R2 Multiple Family Residential District.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to ordinance number 024-002. It's amendment to the City of Safford's Municipal Code, Title 19, Aviation. Chairman? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and City Council to have a first reading of ordinance 024-022, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, amending Title 19 to update the City of Safford Municipal Code. A little bit of background, Title 19 governs all aviation operations at the Safford Regional Airport and was last updated over 10 years ago. Over the last 18 months, staff has updated the airport rules and regulations, minimum operating standards, and created a leasing policy. The council adopted all three documents in October of 2022 and January of 2023. The City of Safford Municipal Code was out of date for this title and did not align with the adopted versions of the other airport documents noted above. To ensure the enforceability of adopted standards at the airport, staff completed a comprehensive update of Title 19 to match current FAA regulations, industry best practices, and the current state of the airport. Some of the key changes that are made currently in the document include the addition of an airport enterprise fund in that title, as the airport is a revenue generating entity with the city to match budgetary requirements. The adoption of the minimum operating standards, layout plan, rules and regulations, and leasing policy as adopted by reference in the document. All references to an airport advisory commission have been removed, as such a body is unnecessary and has not been active over the last several decades. In addition, substitutions were made. All references to the director, as previously referencing the director of planning and community development, have been removed and changed to my position as the airport manager. And the definitions section was updated with current definitions as adopted in the previous airport documents as noted above. No other changes were made. Every effort was made to utilize existing airport governing documents as a primary rulemaking documents, with Title 19 serving to enforce those. And staff is recommending that council have a first read and discussion of ordinance 24002, so the code may be updated. And you have a copy of the red line version of the document below.
Like, you're saying enterprise fund. Are you changing that to enterprise budget?
Councilman Lopez and Mayor Ortega, previously the airport was under the general fund for all of its budgetary purposes, but since the airport is developing revenue, it'll actually create an entire revenue enterprise fund for the airport. That's what the airport is currently budgeted as. However, that was not in code to support that.
So a standalone budget?
Correct, as an enterprise fund, similar to utilities.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Vice Mayor and Councilman Lopez. It won't be fully cost recovery at this point, which most of our enterprise funds are. But what it will allow us to do is to track our revenue streams tied directly to the expenditures. It helps with FAA, and it also, we're already seeing some changes because we've done some changes on some of the fees for leasing and stuff, so the revenues being generated by the airport are already rising, and then we have new developments going on out there as well. So this will allow us to tie and show directly airport revenue. Now, it won't be a one-to-one, but you'll be able to see hopefully over time as those revenues go up that are being generated by the airport.
So it's not a money maker like the golf course. So, but you want a separate budget so you can start being able to enhance grants? Because we seem to be doing well right now with getting grants.
Yes, exactly. And Councilman Lopez and Vice Mayor Ortega, I can elaborate on that a little bit. So one of our grant assurances to the FAA is that all revenues that are generated at the airport have to stay at the airport for aviation purposes. So this allows us to separately track all of those revenues, make sure they're staying at the airport. Of course, currently the airport is not self-sufficient. We're improving that. 2 years ago, we're at about $30,000 a year in annual recurring revenue. Now we're getting closer to that $200,000 mark. And we're improving that over time through the business park and other projects, other revenue generating projects like the T-hangars, things of that nature. So as we continue to generate more revenue and continue to do more leases and do more projects, it's a good way for us to be able to track those and also be able to show the FAA that we're reinvesting in the airport and capitalizing on those grant funds that they're giving us to make sure that the airport grows and is an asset for the community.
Which what we're doing now.
Exactly.
We're not gonna get in our own way.
No.
Okay.
All I can say is, that
That's all,
airport is coming along very well. It's gonna be a tremendous asset to the community. Job well done.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Huh?
Motion to approve the first read.
Okay. We need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, and a second to approve the first reading.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Ordinance number 024-002, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, amending Title 19 to update the City of Safford Municipal Code.
Thank you. And we'll move on to item number 16, contracts and agreements and bids. Number 1, project agreement between SPPA and the City of Safford with a back-to-back agreement for the APCO MSA sales agreement.
Good
Jason.
evening, gentlemen. This is a request for the mayor and the city council to approve the establishment of a project agreement with SPA, our power provider, along with a back-to-back agreement and an ABCO metered subsystem agreement with the Arizona Electric Power Cooperative. So the Arizona Electric Power Cooperative is now required by federal regulation to maintain a balance between its loads and resources within its subsystem. The City of Safford lies within this subsystem, and the regulation requirements now need to be followed. The City of Safford, the Town of Thatcher, along with several other SPA members, requested SPA create a project to be an intermediate entity to ensure we can maintain a balance between our loads and our resources. The below attached documents provide the information to allow the City of Safford to become a member of the project. SPA project contract number 2023-1. Once a member of this project, the City of Safford would need to approve the back-to-back agreement with SPA along with the ABCO MSA resale agreement. These agreements will allow the City of Safford to continue to receive power through the ABCO distribution subsystem. This will allow us to meet the new federal requirements for our power distribution. I'm just going through that analysis I got with our power and water attorneys of Moyes, Sellers, and Hendricks, and had their lawyer review that for us and put that analysis here. And ultimately it says that with those new federal regulations, it's required of us to do this, to follow this regulation. And so we're bringing that documentation required for us to be able to follow those federal regulations. So the staff recommends the City of Safford enter into these agreements in order to satisfy the new federal requirements and continue to provide power to the City of Safford. I'll stand for any questions.
I believe when you came on board, we talked to you, one of the biggest headaches you've got is this group that you have together here, you're part of, because their opinion from Mahler, Solar, Hendricks is that the City of Safford hands are essentially tied in this instance. So it's kind of like you got to accept it in order to do business. So that's what I read in here.
Yeah, that's what it says. The federal regulations require us to do that. I think this process of SPA stepping in as our intermediate for us in the short term to guarantee those power supplies for us is really a SPA stepping up and supporting us as a member of that cooperative. So
Did you attend some of the meetings?
I did today via web. I sat in our 3-hour meeting today. So
Not in person?
not in person
So
today,
you
no, sir.
didn't get a feel of the room if there was any arguments?
Around this specifically, so they didn't have a meeting, specifically around this, as far as just when the regulations came out.
Okay, sir. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Okay. What would happen if, SPA didn't back us?
So currently, the city of Safford, doesn't have the power requirements that we need to fulfill our obligations. And so, sitting inside our cooperative with, SPA, they provide those limitations that we have. With them stepping in, it allows, ABCO to have a single entity to interact with instead of having to interact with all 6 of us that sit within that subsystem. SPA's hoping to help us get all the documentation needed that they won't have to step in for us next year. And so really this is a temporary fix for us just for the 2024 year.
Thank you, Jason. Anybody else?
6 of us in this case.
In this subsystem,
But
yeah,
we belong to a group bigger than 6?
much larger.
Okay. But 6 of us
Yeah,
dealing with this.
6 of our SPA membership fall within this ABCO sub-metering system.
Anybody else? Okay. Any more discussion? If not, this is an action item. Number
Maybe we approve the project agreement between SPPA and the city of Safford with a back-to-back agreement for the APCO MSA agreement and resale agreement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to agree on the agreement. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, then the next item, item 17, report on operational items. First one, number 1, is update on the Give from the Heart solar credit donation. James?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to give an update on the City of Safford's Gift from the Heart and solar donation programs. For a quick run-through of Gift from the Heart, it is an assistance program for citizens of age 62 or above that meet income guidelines provided by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Shown here are the amounts of base rates that each recipient receives each month, and if funds are available in December, recipients will have their bills paid in full. So an additional overview of Gift from the Heart. There are currently 21 recipients, a total of $1,001 applied to these 21 accounts every month. Along with the budgeted $10,000 a year from the City of Safford, the business service team hosts an annual hot dog sale to raise additional funds. Customer service also sells candy bars and sodas from the Pepsi Company at Citizen Services office. And additional donations are received from other utility customers who donate through their bill. So here we have an overview of the solar donation program and how it currently works. City of Safford currently has 406 customers that are on solar, 384 being residential and 22 being commercial. Solar credit balances roll over year to year currently. Requests are made to current solar customers that have a credit balance to donate solar credits if they wish to participate. Solar credits donated only apply to Gift from the Heart recipients' electric services. Business services staff allocate those solar credits to the qualifying Gift from the Heart recipients to ensure solar credits are only applied to electric charges. And to give an update on this solar donation program, 48 letters were sent to customers who had solar credits over a certain amount to participate in donating. Of those 48 letters, 11 customers, commercial and residential, donated $39,447.22. This amount of donated credits to Gift from the Heart customers will help contribute to an overall increase in assistance to the elderly that are on a fixed or limited income. With these donations covering electric services only, those funds that would have been used for the electric services could be used towards other services in the future, sewer, trash, or whatever services we may want to use, or pay customers' monthly electric transactions. That's all I have for you on the update. Do you have any questions for me?
This is a long conversation that could be happening here on this, because credits, these people get credits that we never give them in a way. So they're turning something into something that's not really there, or kinda not really there.
Yes.
So that's still a conversation. I'm glad that we're only talking about it, but, because there's a lot more to talk about ongoing here, because I'm not necessarily, when this first started like this, there was people putting themselves out of business because they had to accept all the solar that got put on the grid. And they was putting people were going and almost getting out of business, putting themselves out of business. So, till we have that longer conversation, my concern is that you're keeping up with the metering too to capture this, because like when they're on ours, when they're on theirs, it first started out, there was 4 meters, and then it went to 2, and now there's only 1. So that's a field too that I'm hoping you're keeping track of, Mr. Carbajal.
Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, we are keeping track of that. Every month we're tracking all of our monthly exceptions on all meters. Electric is a special case, but with electric, it's a lot easier to keep track on our analytics. So if anything were to show up for electric, it's caught immediately.
And I know they're more sophisticated now, just.
Yes.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
This is probably a question that a bookkeeper needs to answer, but is it possible that this donation could expand to other places other than Give from the Heart, such as paying the electric bill at a 501c3, like where we've just set up this thing down there by CASA for showering and laundry for the homeless? Could somebody donate to that possibly, or is that a bookkeeping nightmare?
Mayor Ortega, Councilman McGoy, we are looking into that. We'll be bringing something in the future, maybe, I think the 26th, correct? Discussing something of that nature about 501c, so we will be bringing that towards you.
So that will just be added to this or be a part of this? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
John's got
Did you have something?
Yeah, I do, but go ahead, John, you're on a roll.
I just wanted to mention, Vice Mayor Ortega and Councilman McGoy, that we were looking at trying to perhaps expand when we do the 501c3 application process. If you recall, originally the options were essentially a program or service provided to city residents or to an economic development activity. And so I think in order to do this and make it as streamlined as possible, we would provide a third option, which would be, are you applying for credit for your electric bill? So we've been looking into that issue. We've talked with the tax attorney, because all this stuff ends up with tax attorneys very specifically. And so we can do it. And so the idea going forward will be, as part of the budget process, when we bring back the application process, we will bring back an additional option within that process to apply for something that would go towards your electric.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
And we qualify, because there's some 501(c)(3)s that we pay the utilities for.
Vice Mayor Ortega, Councilman Lopez, yeah, it would apply to, say, Samaritan House, for example. If we're paying on that bill, they would be eligible as a 501c3.
But we pay the utility bill on a couple of places.
Right.
So we can pay ourselves.
Well, I guess
Credit
the way
ourselves.
that,
We
yeah,
wouldn't get
the way
nothing.
that you would do it, the mechanism would be different.
But it could be done.
They're gonna,
Yes.
they're gonna figure out some way to turn it into more, but we'll have that conversation.
Anybody else? Thank you, James.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 2, capital improvement projects. Okay,
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We wanted to come tonight to give you guys an update on the CIP that we've been working on. Feel free for any questions. We've highlighted a few of the projects. If you guys got any questions on any projects, feel free to bring them forward tonight. Just a little quick recap here. You can see here's our budgetary cycle for this year. We got $29 million in CIP projects. The last update that we gave to you guys was November 13th. So at the time that we started doing this was the end of January. So any progress that you guys see tonight will be from the update from the November 13th to the end of January. So about 2.5 months worth of update here for you. Quick reminder here on this one, this kind of is the breakdown of where we stand on all of our different projects. Starting on the right-hand side over there, the completed or eliminated projects. That one we reset July 1st of last year. So to date, we've completed 16 different projects from July 1st of 2023. Kind of working our way backwards, we have 14 projects right now that are in construction, 10 of those external, 4 of those internal. We do want to highlight the bottom row here. We're going to talk about them here in a second. We do have 11 of them that we have what we call pending and upcoming. So they're smaller, lower priority projects we're going to discuss here in just a second. When we talk about some of the bidding, contract, award phases of it, currently we have 6 different projects, 3 internal and 3 external, and 1 that's kind of pending and coming forward. Talk about design. We got 9 right now that are in queue, 6 external and 3 internal. So, and then 5 that we have that are pending. So this is kind of a breakdown of where we stand specifically for the different projects. Anything highlighted in red is the progress that we made since our last update. So we're able to move 7 projects from the external completions. You can see from that green arrow moving over. We put 7 of them over in completion. That was the airport water tank. Traffic signals on 20th Avenue. We did a BLM mineral potential study. That has to do with the acquisition and expansion of the landfill that's out there that's required by BLM. We did complete the police facility renovation. We won't get into that too much. If you guys got questions, save them for Misha. I think she's coming in a couple weeks, so make sure you prep for her. I think she's ready for it, right? Brian's nodding his head, so. We do have the reclaimed storage pond. There's a section of it that we went external on that one. That's a turnout structure. We'll show you some highlights and pictures of that one as well. For the construction phase, we've completed that copper replacement program that we had within the city. We're kind of finalizing a lot of the paperwork and final payments, some of the inspection services that are in there, but that's completed from the contractor side of it. And then the final project we have in here is that roll-off system for the public. This is the landfill transfer station that we have up there. You'll also see some pictures of that as well. We did bring 1 over from an internal completion. That was the one that was highlighted up at the top of the library expansion building that was completed by the Public Works. So. When we talk about construction, active construction, we did bring 3 of them up from internally bid packages that we put together internally. You can see by the highlighted 3 that was coming up from us. Those 3 were the CBDG sidewalk project that's currently getting ready to start with Ron Cox. We do have the 14th Avenue fiber, which is one of the grants that Sam's been working on. We're going to get ready to install that for completion. We've also done a manhole rehabilitation with Morgan and his team. They're looking at rehabbing a lot of the manholes that are south of town that has high exposure to some H2S gas. They're looking at a product called Armor Rock, which is resistant material, and so they've started replacing some of that. Some of the internal is the El Paso Park. I kind of broke this up into 2 phases. We are, if you guys notice, we'll get a highlight and we'll show you some pictures of it. We are working out there with Lance's team. We're starting to work on, we've installed some of the utilities and we're starting on some of the structures. We've currently did some of the, we'll get into it in a little bit, but we started some concrete pours for some of the shade structures and playground area out there. Mike's not here tonight, but we've been working with his team and Jason's team about Hollywood Road. There's a electrical, what was required for power pole relocation. We kind of had to move them south of the road so that road could be widened. That's all being done internal. we have some pictures as well on that one. We do have a couple bids that are kind of coming up that we moved up out of design phase, and we're getting ready to put the big bid packages together. The first one is on airport T-hangers, working with Cameron to expand that out there for the 10 T-hangers that are on site. So we're getting ready. We're in the final stages of that bid package. You guys will see that probably released over the next few weeks. We've also started work on that Carrasco well redesign. We'll get into a little bit of the details here in a second about that one and where we stand. So feel free to jump in with any questions at any given time. This slide right here is a little bit new. I don't think you guys have seen this one before. What I wanted to do was kind of give you guys an idea of flavor for where we're at, instead of just throwing a bunch of numbers at you. This is looking at the projects and the budgets for each one of those projects, kind of summed up for each one of those boxes. So when we talk about 16 projects that are finished, they kind of summed up for a total of $9.2 million is where we were looking for project completion. This isn't exactly one-to-one. We did have some carryover from last year that was spent into last year's budget, so it's not exactly one for one, but to give you an idea and flavor for where we're at and where we stand. You guys are more than welcome to look backwards and kind of see. I did want to highlight those up-and-coming ones. There's a lot of them in there, and we usually don't talk about them. They're usually our lower priority. You can see here that all of those summed up, they're usually our really smaller projects, right? And as we can work them in, as we can get them, we kind of bring them forth and complete them out. So you can see a lot of them are all summed up less than $100,000 here and there. So this is kind of jumping into project-specific stuff at any given time. Feel free to ask questions where we're going, where we stand. This one right here is the El Paso Park. This is one that we're trying to do both semi-internal and external. We're working with Lance's guys right now. We got some of the street guys out there, the building maintenance guys out there. We just poured some concrete today on what would be the shade structure. That middle section right there is one of the footers. There was 6 in total, so we've gotten those partially poured out, and they'll start erecting some of that shade structure there. As soon as we're completed with that, we'll start on the building and some of that retention wall that's in the park. There is a bigger section of this, which is the parking and pavement structures and some of the sidewalks that will wind up going externally. But within the budgetary amount that we have, we want to make sure that we try to stretch this park as far as possible, so a lot of this will be done internal. This right here is a highlight for the transfer station up at the landfill. To kind of give you an idea of the size is the picture on the right. You can see one of the guys that are working there. Pretty substantial. This has actually been completed for the phase of the contractor. We still have a little bit of work to do internally. Chad and his guys, they still have to fill in the back area. We're waiting for the 30-day cure cycle on the concrete so that we don't get in there and break anything. So as soon as that cures out, we'll have a little bit of internal work to do. We still have to put a little bit of a concrete pad for receiving the bins in the front, but whatever little bit we have left will be completed internally. So another project highlight that we wanted to kind of bring forward is this is the reclaimed pond itself and storage pond that we have out there next to the reclamation plant. Just to kind of give you an idea of where we stand on this one. This one actually went out to bid. We wound up receiving 2 bids, and the lowest bid being about $2.6 million, which you can see is way beyond our budget, which we had forecasted at $470,000 at the time. So this project has been pretty much taken internally with the exemption of that turnout structure, which is that bottom right-hand picture, which allows the effluent to either go to the river or into the pond, which kind of sits in the background of that picture. So what we've been doing is we've been hauling a lot of the clays out there. I know a lot of people's been involved in it. Morgan and his team and Lance and his guys have been running out there. Some of the landfill guys have been down there. To kind of give you an idea and flavor for where we're at on that one, we're kind of estimating that they've completed about 1,400 loads of clay out there. We're probably about 600 still pending. So as they get time and availability, they put their guys on here to kind of absorb some of that, which is awesome. At the end of the day, we're looking at probably somewhere in the area of about $1.1 to $1.2 million saved on this project, if not more. So it's one of those things, as we get our employees to be able to do it, there's definitely a significant savings for the city. That top left-hand, or the top picture up there is a picture of the control system, the Rainbird system. We've gotten that installed and in place, and we just need to get to where we can get some solution in there and program that out, so that then that's our control system. So. Just another quick highlight here for the Hollywood Road electrical relocation project. This is the one that Mike and his team's been kind of working on. That bottom left-hand corner is, you can see the gap and where we're actually trying to expand a lot of that road. We've just, as of today, dropped off that drill rig. If you guys get a chance, we'll be drilling out there for that anchor pole that sits in the corner right there by Hollywood Road. It's a 6-foot diameter by almost 20 foot deep. So if you guys want to go check that out, I don't think I've seen one drilled that big. So it'll be impressive, I think. So you can see that we've been relocating a lot of those lines right there. That's done internally. Like I said, with Mike's guys, they've been trying to get that they're separating some of that line and pole right there to get a new pole set in there. So taking a lot of work that we haven't done in the past, which is the same thing. This one we're estimating about $500,000 saved for the city because we're doing this internally. So. This right here is the Carrasco well treatment, and where we stand on here. We had $1 million budget. We did receive, that bottom left-hand picture right there is the actual processing plant itself. The skid, which is referred to as the plug-and-play skid that we have in there. We've taken this one back, and same thing. This one we took out to bid, and got some bids back that, through the recommendation of Bowman, we didn't accept. So we're going to wind up taking this one back internally. We got the skid here received, and we've also started trying to design out some of the building. We've gotten that ordered and accepted. Right now we're looking at that location and we'll start some of the prep work probably over the next couple weeks, and getting some of the AB pack in there and getting ready to receive that building. It's still in shipment to us. We're still getting built and manufactured. So once we get that, we'll get the concrete set in place, and we'll start building that out. This project here, we're kind of estimating in that same $1.5 to $1.6 million saved because of being able to work through these. Some of these I know kind of move slow because we get to pick them up as we go along and stuff, but there's definitely some, like I said, we took this one to bid. We didn't get a good bid back, and so we received it, and we'll wind up trying to do this internally, which has a significant cost savings to it. Another project highlight right here is this is that substation bus and switchgear. It was a $2 million budget. This one's being completed almost all externally right now. So they're working right now on the just one what they call the T2 switch. So you can see on that bottom left-hand corner, they're starting some of the foundational work. They're starting to hang up some of the poles, the receivers, and actually the switches in that top left-hand corner up there. So. One of the last projects we'll highlight here for you is, this is one that we took in internally. We did a lot of the design based on some of the historical work, working with Morgan, some of the expertise that we had in-house. We were able to put a lot of the design together in the bid package and then go to an external bid. So this is the North Clarifier at the wastewater treatment plant. We just got bid openings back last week, so I'll be presenting those to you in a couple weeks. But this is the rehabilitation of it, so we're able to push this through and get a bid. So this one will be starting relatively soon as well. And that's it. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask them. So if you got a request for the next time we give the update on specific projects, feel free for that as well. So.
No, I'm looking forward to the Carrasco well going online, you know, to link that water line. I got to go for a ride out there and see that, and it should enhance us quite a bit as we need it.
Absolutely, it's going to be a fun project. So.
Yeah, and it's been up and down the skid, and it's been kind of crazy. It's been a while since I've been out there to go see where you finally did decide to put it. So.
I usually suppress a little bit of my chemical engineering. This is the time that it kind of gets excited and I have to hold it
Yeah.
back a little bit. So it'll be a fun little process. So.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you're on it.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I got a lot of them to go visit.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabe, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Okay, then. We'll move on to item number 18, announcement of current events. Anybody?
Mayor and council, I just wanted a quick reminder, I sent out an email to you a couple weeks ago reminding that our free dump is coming up the 22nd through the 24th, so not this weekend, but the next weekend. Coinciding with that, we'll also do another community cleanup event, which was, we're gonna set up dumpsters at El Paso Park for that neighborhood, neighboring El Paso Park there from Relation to 26 and over to 8th Avenue and anywhere else that someone wants to bring to those dumpsters, we'll accept that as well. And hearing your request, we're also doing a cemetery cleanup that same week of free dump and that neighborhood cleanup. And we're gonna have a couple dumpsters at the cemetery for anyone that wants to go clean up cemetery spaces or volunteers. We'll have big dumpsters to load garbage in there and we'll dump those out throughout the week. So just a reminder to get the word out that we'll be doing those three events that week of free dump.
Good. Thank you.
There's a lot of people thankful about the cemetery one, Mr. Henry. When I called some of those that asked me about it, I'll tell you what they said, but it was mainly in Spanish and quite colorful, but it was all thank you.
All right. And we'll move on to item 19, any requests for future agenda items? Anybody?
I just got a comment. Sometimes we have work session, and I think we push the line on what's the action item and what we talk about and giving direction and stuff like that. I'd kind of like to work with all of you to where what we can do to make sure we don't go past the line on not being able to have people present. You know, like tonight we had a work session item, and the public really isn't allowed to get into it, so we don't want to discourage them from that. Or sometimes we are silent and that goes forward as yes. So I'm hoping we all work together and it come up with a yes or a no on what we're doing.
Anything else? Anybody?
I make the motion, we adjourn into executive session and take a 5-minute recess.
Motion, second?
Second.
All in favor?
5 minutes, Mike?
Yes, sir.
5 only.
5 only, yes. I make the motion, we reconvene into our regular meeting and adjourn.
All in favor? Second.
Second.
And everybody else in favor?
We're done.